Good morning. I would like to just recognize the Honorable Cory Booker, Mayor of Newark, and Joe D. Vincenzo, the Honorable. My life connects with them in a number of ways, and I would fail if I did not recognize all the work that they do to make this a better community. It is more than a notion to talk about Winona, but before I do, I want to say that I welcome you to this, what would be an important event to recognize today and for the future the wonderful work that Winona accomplished, who was my friend and yours, the late Senator Winona Littman, who died May 9th, 1999. Some of you here may know some of what I'm going to tell, just diverse for a minute, to say that there was a fluke about why I was able to get $1 million to start the Winona House. And that was that I was nosy when I worked in the prosecutor's office. I had kind of an advocacy job for juvenile delinquents, but I wandered down a hallway and I saw a little room with a few dolls that had anatomical features and a few toys, but it was dreary. And then I saw in the hallway these large men with guns hanging off their waist without their jackets. And they said that little children and teens who would come for interviews, and this is many years ago, so don't think it's happening today because we have Winona's house. But I said something has to give, and I began to research what people were doing in this country, in this state, about children who were abused, because that's probably one of the most dreadful things that I can think of for anyone's child and anyone's teenager or anyone, woman or man. Winona was at the Kessinger Hospital, presumably recovering, but was 2 months from her death. And I said, Winona, I heard that Senator Littell created $1 million for a house called Jennie's House, actually, in Sussex County, across the street from the courthouse, and also in Morristown, a house that was equally elegant to do the work that Winona's house is going to do, has been doing here in Essex. And that is to protect the child from multiple interviews, which to me was probably one of the worst parts of trying to find out who was the culprit to create such a terrible horror. So I said to myself, I'm going to go see Winona, because I saw her every day for her last couple of months. And I said, Winona, I need to have Littell or somebody give us $1 million for Newark. The city has far more abused children probably than any other city in the state. What can we do? She said, you call Littell's office, you tell him to create the legislation, and I will sign it. And she said, I do work across the aisle. And so he and his wife can come and get my signature, and that will be law. And so that is how Winona's house happened to evolve. Now, again, it's a notion to talk about Winona, but I will try. There are many people in this room who worked with her, and we need to congratulate them and thank them for giving her the support. There's no one ever does all these big things by themselves, and we need to remember that she had great help. I know there were a number of women that spent late nights in her office in the Robert Tree, and occasionally I was up there to see her, but those people are here in this room. Some sort of developed their own skills working with her. And I won't call the names, but we all know who helped whom in this life. There are many things I could say about Winona, but I'll make an effort to describe some of her special talents and gifts to the people of New Jersey. There are individuals, I said that. And there were many firsts in her career beginning with a committee person, used to be committee man, town person, and later as Essex County freeholder. Winona was the first African-American female to become a senator in the New Jersey Senate and was there 27 years. Her distinguished record of bills reflecting her sincere interest and commitment to the rights of women and children are said to have surpassed her colleagues many times over. There were no limitations to her pursuit of reforms and opportunities in education, small business, health, social services, employment, senior citizen, violence, HIV/AIDS, child abuse, neglect, foster children, and especially foster children, and the arts. She was truly a servant for all Newark Jerseyans. I love learning that when the National ERA failed in the Congress to a statute to change the Constitution, also failed in New Jersey, but guess what? Winona came back to her office and created the State Commission on Sex Discrimination in the statutes. And this commission was mandated to determine if women were being denied full equal protection under the law. One example of that is that they found that divorced or widow women would find themselves legally without access to health insurance. And I'm sure that was just the beginning of a long line of abuses or neglect regarding women. Men, you have to forgive me for this, but this is our moment. Winona had a passion for getting things done, and in this regard, she did not give up, regardless of the obstacles or however long it took to meet her goals. Winona was courageous and fearless in her pursuit of important causes, regardless how unpopular. And I'm told that her tactics of persuasion were legendary and that she wore down her colleagues. Winona appeared to avoid power struggles for the sake of winning, and at best made her way through legislative and other political efforts with a low profile. Lastly, Winona was a role model for professionalism, integrity, and patience while being a working mother. And she did so with charm, elegance, and sincerity. She had a son, Will, who died as a young man, but her daughter Karen was the center of her attention throughout her life while sharing a friendship with me. One last note, there is a boutique that was created a couple of years before she died, and she apparently had a lot to do with creating it. And I was asked to just mention that the Senator Winona Lepland Fashion Start Boutique was designed for women getting ready to go to work or work first. And I'm sure Josephine Harris is in here, and she's over to the left with the red suit on. You can find out from her where you can donate clothes for the boutique. It's a very worthwhile operation, and it's in the Salvation Army building on Central Avenue. So, with no further words, I thank you for being here and for allowing me to share this important event, and we'll hope to see you for the next 10 years.